Hello and welcome to today's Discovery Storytime. Today we'll be working with some chemicals to make a fun reaction. Maybe you've done this before, but if you get a little baking soda and a little vinegar, there's a whole lot that you can do that's tons of fun with ingredients you've got lying right around the house. Baking soda is wonderful and clean, but when you mix it with an acid like vinegar, it likes to exchange its protons, and what happens? A lot happens, huh? Fuzzes up, makes a wonderful, beautiful mess, and a great reaction that releases carbon dioxide gas. That's all the bubbles that we see there. Let's take a look at the fun things we can do and read about with this simple experiment.
Today's book is Pete the Cat and the Supercool Science Fair by Kimberly and James Dean, brought to us by HarperCollins Publishers. And this is a read-along book. You can see at the bottom of the screen there's a start narration button, meaning if you check this out from the library on our ebook platform, it can read itself. I'm going to read it to you today. Pete the Cat and the Supercool Science Fair. Pete cannot wait for Friday. His school is having a science fair. Pete has never been a scientist. Now he can try it out. Pete's teacher tells the students they will do experiments in groups. Pete is in a group with Callie, Gus, and Squirrel. Our experiment is going to be groovy, says Pete. What should we do? Let's build a mini submarine, says Callie. Or grow a giant tree, says Squirrel. Or invent an invisible guitar, says Pete. Why don't we make a volcano? asks Gus. Whoa, they all say. Volcanoes are awesome. The group plans the experiment at Pete's house. His mom brings them snacks. Would any scientist like a cookie? She asks. They all raise their hands. The cookies are warm and gooey. The scientists check the big book of experiments for materials. They need glue, water, newspaper, paint, and a plastic bottle for the volcano. They need vinegar, baking soda, liquid dish soap, and a secret ingredient for the lava. Pete and Gus mix the glue and water. Squirrel and Callie tear the newspaper into strips. They cover the plastic bottle with glue and paper. It looks like a sticky white volcano. Oh no! The paint in the brown bottle is blue. What are we going to do? Asked Callie. They can't find brown paint anywhere. That's pretty cool, says Pete. Maybe it's okay we have a blue volcano. We'll be the only group with a blue volcano, says Squirrel. Let's test the lava so we know the volcano will erupt at the science fair, Pete says. Gus pours the baking soda and liquid dish soap into the volcano and Callie adds vinegar. Nothing happens. At first. All of a sudden, a lot of lava starts coming out. Super cool, says Callie. The team high-five each other, but the lava is still coming out. Soon it is a huge mess. Oh, Mom isn't going to be happy, says Pete. At least the scientists are ready for the fair on Friday. When Pete and his team arrive at the fair, they see all the other groovy experiments. They all look awesome. Grumpy Toad and Octopus grew rock candy in a jar. Emma and Marty made slime. We don't stand a chance, says Gus. Don't worry, we have the secret ingredient, says Pete. At the science fair, Pete's teacher loves the blue volcano. Wait till you see it erupt, Pete says. The whole class watches Callie pour vinegar into the volcano. A second later, glitter lava rushes out. Everyone cheers. The scientists cheer the loudest. Science experiments are hard work, says Pete, but being on an awesome team makes them a whole lot easier. Coolest experiment at the science fair. That volcano is a fun experiment that you can do at home. If you didn't catch the ingredients, it's baking soda and vinegar with a paper mache outside and a tube in the middle so it all flows out. It's another fun way that you can use baking soda and vinegar to do some science. Thanks, Pete the Cat.
All right, I'm going to throw together a little demonstration called Dancing Rice. And what we're going to need is water. about a cup or so. Fill our container maybe halfway, 2/3. There we go. And baking soda is our next ingredient. I'm going to use maybe about half a tablespoon there. You could even do less. A teaspoon is fine, but I'm just going to throw that in there. You can see how it colors it so it becomes opaque and hard to look through. Our next step is going to be a little, I got brown rice here. Instant rice tends to work very well. You can also use dried spaghetti or broken vermicelli noodles. My next ingredient is oatmeal. I'm going to throw in a little oatmeal there. You can see it slowly sink to the bottom. Oatmeal, meaning it's less dense than water. We want stuff that's barely less dense than water. You can see how that's slowly floating to the, or sinking to the bottom, which is perfect. That's exactly what we want. So we're going to go ahead and let all of that sort of sink down and be ready for our experiment. Okay. And then because it's fun to do color, I'm going to do a single drop of red food coloring. And I'm going to allow the agitation of the reaction to mix it up for me. Our next ingredient is going to be vinegar. This is our acid that's going to react with our base, and when it does that, it creates a gas, carbon dioxide, which will briefly attach itself to the oatmeal and the rice that we've got in our jar, causing it to rise up to the surface. And when it hits the surface, it's going to release that gas, once again becoming more dense than water and sink to the bottom. So let's go ahead and add our tablespoon of vinegar. Drop it right in there. See our reaction. And you can see that we have a whole bunch of oatmeal that floated to the top. And like I said, once it collects that gas, it floats on up. And then it's going to slowly sink back down as that gas releases. Now you can see that some are rising up and some are sinking down as that reaction continues in there. See that? Try this experiment at home by changing some of the variables. You can try using dried spaghetti or broken vermicelli noodles, different kinds of rice, or small beads. Anything that's slightly more dense than water should work really well for this experiment. You can also try different ratios of baking soda and vinegar. Have fun, make a mess, but be sure to clean it up in the end, and we'll move on to our next experiment. Now this is a really cool demonstration that shows you how the gas escaping from the baking soda vinegar reaction can increase in volume. Let me show you what I've got here. So I've got some plastic sandwich bags. The smaller, if you have snack size, that works perfectly. The important part is that they are able to seal. And what I've got here are handy dandy baking soda again. Let me go ahead and add that to the bag. We're going to work with plenty. See that nice heavy bag of baking soda? Then I've got a little container that I've filled with vinegar, and it's important that you have a small container that you can sit upright or sideways so that the vinegar doesn't spill out. I'm going to very, very carefully put that container in the bag so that it is upright and not spilling. I'm going to blow in a little bit of air to fill it with fill the bag's volume up a little bit, just so will give us a little bit more dramatic reaction. So you see how I've got that is sealed as much as I can. Vinegar and baking soda in the bag, they have yet to combine, filled with a little bit of air to make it just a tiny bit puffy. And if you want, you can always add a second bag just for to help and try to contain that a little bit more. I'm going to go with the one bag and hope that that works out. Also, very important, a little bit of eye protection. We'll go ahead and strap that on. Might be a better fit for you than for me. And let's go ahead and demonstrate our reaction and capture that escaping gas. Once again, our bag, baking soda in the bottom, vinegar in the bottle. I'm going to throw that into a bucket here. And I'm not going to look too closely because there's a high likelihood that once this bag becomes too full with gas, that pressure is going to have to rapidly escape somewhere. So let's go ahead and mix that. You can see the reaction happening in the bag. You can see it swelling up. Did you hear it? That pop was the rapidly escaping pressure we talked about. As the baking soda reacted with the vinegar, that CO2 gas, again, was escaping. And because it had nowhere to go, it was trapped in a bag. That bag filled and filled until the pressure was too much, and pop, off it goes. You can try this experiment at home, but I recommend a little bit of eye protection, something to clean up the mess, and of course, parental supervision. Thank you. I've got a really fun craft for you today. We're going to make some dissolving surprise eggs that you can hide little toys in. It's fun, it's science, and I think you'll be pleased with the results. So we'll start with some baking soda. You can pour in maybe half a cup to a cup of it. Big chunk. Then we'll go with our water. I'm going to color it to give our egg a little bit of color. Let's just do a couple drops of that. Mix that up. And then a few tablespoons in your baking soda is all you're really going to need. And also add a little table salt to help it harden up. Or if you've got some pure sand around, you can add a little sand for texture to give it that kind of egg look. Then let's add some water. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix that up till it forms kind of a thick paste. And I want to be able to take my paste and then mold it around the toy. Let's see if that happens. So I'll stick my toy in, gather up my dough that I've made out of the baking soda there, and sand and salt and whatever else you've added. You can add more color if you want it to be a little more vibrant. I've got kind of a nice cream orange egg going on here. And then you can cover it up into a ball and then let that harden for about 24 hours. And once it does, those molecules of baking soda that have sort of bonded to water in itself there will harden up as the water dries out, giving you a rigid, hard egg shell. And then the fun part. Finding them in the wild. So go ahead and come with me and let's see if we can find one to dissolve in our vinegar. All right, we've got our supplies. Come along with me and we're going to find our egg in the wild. We've got our vinegar, our tongs. All we need is that baking soda egg.
I think I see a lion over there.
A lion? You see it?
Yeah.
I see the egg. Right there in the wild. Now let's approach nice and quiet. Can you grab that for me? Be gentle, you don't know what might happen. All right, now it's time for the reaction. Crikey! Do you see that bubbling up? It's overflowing. That's that chemical reaction we talked about. Baking soda and vinegar overflowing with that surprise egg in there. Let's go ahead and reach in with our tongs.
Okay. Everyone, see you in the back.
See if we can find the prize. There it is. I think I see it. And yes, crikey, it is. It's a little pig. You see that? Surprise toys are sure a lot of fun. Well, I hope you enjoyed today's Discovery Storytime, and we'll see you next time with Hillsborough at Home. Have a good day.